Hey, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about the hidden costs of being a real estate agent. Now, I get this question asked a lot from new realtors that I interview who are either coming into the business for the first time or just getting started. And so I wanted to run down the different fees that you may not be aware of that you should in order to budget before you even get your first deal. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. We really appreciate it. So let's dive right into it. So there are 5 different categories of expenses that you can expect as a real estate agent. They're licensing expenses, brokerage fees, operational costs, marketing expenses, and your continuing education expense. So I'm going to dive into each of those different categories and talk about the different fees that are associated with those. Now, each state and each association is going to charge something a little different. So I'll try to go into a little bit about what our associations and fees are. Just understand that depending on your state and depending on your association, it could be a little different. So the first category is going to be the licensing. These fees are going to be associated with the initial process of getting your license started. So that includes the cost of your education, which could range anywhere between $400 or $500. Our state, we require 270 hours, so the cost could be a little bit higher in Texas. You also have your licensing application fee through your state. Now, ours, I believe, is about $225 to $250, depending on what you're applying for exactly. Each state's going to charge a different fee, so you have to look at that. So that's a fee before you even take your test. That's to apply to become a real estate agent. You also have to consider the time that it takes. If you're working a full-time job and you're spending time on your education, getting your license, you've got to consider that that time spent on there is lost revenue or lost income that you could have from your job. So keep in mind that that time that it takes, you're not getting paid for. So you always have to account for that. The second category are your brokerage fees. When you join a brokerage, you always want to ask, how much is it to join? Because some brokerages do charge a startup fee. Also, you may have a monthly fee as well. So this includes all of your E&O and your tech stack and everything if they provide that, because not every brokerage will provide that. You've also got your closing fees. So you either have a split per closing or you've got a flat fee per closing. If you have a cap, then you may owe the brokerage a certain amount before you hit that cap per closing. All brokerages charge different fees, so just be aware of the different fees that they charge and make sure that it works best for you. The next category are your operational costs. Now, this is the one that's going to probably cost you the most that you need to be aware of. When you join, or after you get your license, you're going to join an association. Now, your association is also going to be part of your state association, for example, Texas Association of Realtors, as well as the National Association of Realtors. So when you join that association, you're going to have your MLS fees, your super key fees, both your state and national association fees, as well as the local association fees. Those could range anywhere between $1,000 to $1,400 a year, depending on what all you include in those, as far as if you get super key, which I highly suggest, because most listings require super key. Also your MLS. A couple others are going to be fuel for your vehicle. You're going to be driving around showing a lot of houses, so account for fuel. If you have a much more fuel economic car, that's probably work the best, but if not, then just account for how much you'll be driving. Meals, if you're taking clients out for meals, account for those. Conventions, real estate conventions, or travel, those could be very expensive. Your vehicle wear and tear. As you drive around your car, you're going to run through tires, you're going to run through oil changes, all those different things have to be accounted for. You're using your vehicle as a business, which means they're all expensible. Also, don't forget about your website hosting. If your brokerage does not provide you a website, you'll need to pay for hosting. You'll need to pay for a new site to be built. You'll also have to have IDX feed into your site, so that way your website can pull in all the MLS data. So keep in mind that those fees can be very expensive depending on who you choose for your IDX and your web hosting. And it also could be very expensive depending on who you choose to build your website and depending on how you want it to look. Now, there are plenty of agent-oriented companies out there that focus just on individual real estate agent websites. Luxury Presence is one. They do a great job. They include all your IDX and everything that you need to drive leads into your site. So keep that in mind. The next next one is if you get a listing, you may have to pay showing service fees, such as showing time or showing services that you pay for. Could be $40 a listing, so that's something to keep in mind as well. If your brokerage doesn't provide you a CRM, you may have to pay for CRM, which is your client relationship management software. And that's going to help you keep track of all your clients. It's going to help make sure that you're touching those clients, whether it's text, email, calls, on a daily and weekly and monthly basis. That's super important to have. They can be very expensive depending on which one you choose. So just make sure that you choose one that best fits your style of business and one that automates the best way that it can. So the next category is your marketing expenses. So these are associated with getting a listing or lead marketing and things like that. When you get a new listing, you're gonna have to remember that you get photos made. Sometimes if you have to negotiate it, you get staging, you have to pay for staging. Staging can be anywhere between $5, $6, $8 a foot, depending on how much of the house you get staged. Sometimes they charge per room. Sometimes you pay a flat fee, and sometimes you pay a monthly fee. And if you have to renew, you have to continue to pay that. Your digital and paper marketing for listings. So sometimes you there's services that send out emails for you. There's different paper marketings that you can do, business cards, listing signs, any lead marketing that you do, such as social media, Google pay-per-clicks, any Facebook ads, and then lead purchase programs such as Zillow and all those others that all provide leads for you on a monthly basis. Now, some of those leads are going to be pay-at-closing leads, which usually charge between 25 and 30% per deal, or you could pay a monthly fee for leads and you don't have to pay anything at closing except for your brokerage fees. Last thing is you'll have postcard fees. So if you send out postcards or letters to specific areas that you're trying to market to and get business from, you're going to have to do those on a monthly basis, which takes time. The last category is continuing education. Now, in Texas, you have to renew every 2 years, and the first 2 years after your initial license, you have to do your sales apprenticeship education, which requires a lot more than just your standard renewal. Now, you're going to have time to commit to put into these classes. You're also going to have to pay for the CE classes, which could be anywhere between $80, $150, just depending on your state and how many hours they require for you to renew, as well as the state's renewal fees for just renewing your license, and you'll pay that every 2 years. So I hope these give you a little bit better idea of exactly what you're going to be paying for. Again, you're going to have to really dive in and see how much you're going to be paying to have all these different services and technology that you want, and how much you really want to spend in marketing to grow your business. And you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you could spend a few $100s. It just depends on your goal, where you are in your career, and the more deals that you close, the more money you can spend in marketing, which helps you get more deals even after that. So I hope this information helps you out. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.